Hello, everybody. This is Tom Eckert here. You're listening to my podcast, Numerology, a GPS for the soul. This is your place to learn about the true power of numerology and how to use it to bring out the best in yourself, understand your loved ones better, take wise decisions, and prepare for your future. In other words, how to live your life aligned with your true destiny. Take your time to educate yourself and share these podcasts with your friends and family so they too can enjoy the great benefits of numerology. Enjoy! Hello there, and welcome to all my listeners. Today is a special episode as we are gonna be diving deep into challenging karma in your chart. But before anything else, if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to my podcast. In this podcast, we discuss numerology as an in-depth path for inner transformation, for spiritual growth, for self-understanding, for spiritual expansion. I personally attempt to make numerology accessible and applicable for everyday life matters, and I also do my best to provide you with grounded, applicable information so that you can apply numerology in order to live a better life, a more conscious, more balanced life, and also to be aligned with your soul and your deeper purpose. Now, here are a few ways you can dive deeper into numerology, should you wish to do so. The first and foremost is that you can book a numerology reading with me. In a numerology reading, you can ask any question that is burning in your life and get precise, answered, tailored, especially for you based on your chart. You can read more about my readings and what they offer, what type of readings I have, and contact me through the link provided in the episode description to book your reading. Secondly, if you wish to study numerology on a deeper level, or perhaps even pursue it as a career or just know it on an expert level, I invite you to check out my numerology study paths. First, check out my self-study numerology course to explore the fundamentals of numerology in a comprehensive way, but at your own pace, on your laptop, on your tablet, or your mobile phone. Or you can sign up to my complete certification path from a beginner numerologist all the way to a numerology expert and get certified as a professional numerologist. To read more about both paths, check out the links in the episode description. And now, without further ado, let us dive deep into today's fascinating and challenging topic. Okay. Now, challenging karma is part of every person's life. No one is exempt. And it would be a mistake to think that only karmic debt numbers are pointers to challenging karma in your numerology chart. And by the way, if you aren't familiar with what karmic debts are, make sure to listen to my episode about them. Now, many factors can generate karmic challenges in our life. When I personally use the word karmic, what I mean is clear and visible energetic compositions in your numerology chart that point to challenging themes throughout your life. Themes that are present in your chart from the get-go and are fundamental to your journey. So, as I said, not only karmic debts symbolize challenging karma in your chart. In fact, there are many other factors. And today we will focus on 5 such factors. I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll be able to look at your chart with a new depth of understanding and also the ability to see clearly what you need to work on. Because after all, that's what it's all about. We are here to grow, to do the spiritual work day in, day out. So let's start with the first, element, right, that that helps us reveal challenging karma. So it is not uncommon to come across a chart with repeating core numbers. If the number repeats twice, I would say that it is still within the balanced range and can even strengthen the power of the number. But if a particular number repeats itself 3 times or more, you are witnessing a case of specific, particular challenging karma. This is an indication of a challenging life theme that will accompany the person throughout their life. As an example, let's take number 4. If you have number 4 repeating 3 or more times in your core numbers, there is a 99% chance that this number is functioning on the shadow side and introducing some of the more challenging aspects of number 4 into your life on a regular basis. For example, you may find that you suffer from physical instability and weak health on a more regular basis, or increased anxiety pertaining to health issues, to money issues, or generally speaking, existential issues. You may also experience a strong tendency for emotional harshness, severity, guilt, closeness. Now, all of these shadow qualities I just mentioned can also be a regular shadow side of a number 4, even if it appears only once in your numerology chart, in your core numbers. Okay, just to make sure you understand. However, with repetition, right, when this 4 appears 3 times or more, it will become a serious topic in your life, a central topic, and one that truly makes a dent in your karmic records, so to speak. It will be clearly felt. You will feel the lopsidedness of the 4 in your life. Let's take another example just to sort of demonstrate it a little further to make it more alive. Let's take number 5. If it repeats itself 3 times or more, you will experience the amplified shadow of number 5 big time. Now, you will lack, for example, boundaries, and most probably also lack direction in life. There's a very fair chance you will get yourself to undesired interactions, shady interactions, unreliable places, unreliable interactions, and unhealthy places in life. Now, as I said before, this can also happen with a singular 5, given that for whatever reason you live it in a very imbalanced way, but with repeating 5s, it's just almost unavoidable and will exacerbate the phenomenon and make it much more intense and sort of long-lived and something that will run throughout your entire lifetime. The most important thing to understand is that the repeating number will amplify the shadow of the number in question and will present a life topic for you to work on. That is karma for all matters and purposes. Next, okay, the second sign of challenging karma, we look at repeating numbers once more, but this time not in your core numbers, but rather in your challenge numbers. These are part of your period cycles chart. We all have 4 main challenge numbers throughout our life. But when a challenge number repeats itself 3 times, you know, my friend, this is a life theme. Or in other words, another form of challenging karma for you. Any any challenge number pre- um, presents, well, a challenge into our life. But once again, challenges are just a normal part of life. It becomes a karmic challenge when the topic is clearly amplified by way of repetition. If a challenge number repeats itself twice, it's already a significant life topic. I would not, turn my head away from that. But if it repeats itself 3 times in your chart, right? Namely 222, 555, whatever challenge number, this points to a real imbalance, a deficit, and even deep pain pertaining to the number in question. Again, let us take number 6 as an example. If a person has 3 times a recurring challenge number 6, it is very likely they feel a painful lack of being loved in their life. Perhaps even a sense they cannot be loved or cannot find lasting love. They may constantly experience a bleeding emotional wound in their heart pertaining to relationships, like a hole, like a black hole at the center of the heart, a sense of lack of nourishing love in their life, and possibly even strong disappointments around this topic, recurring disappointing events around this topic. So when a challenge number repeats itself 3 times, you know for a fact that you are looking at a karmic life challenge that you or the person in question will have to deal with their entire life. Now, this is perhaps a good point to mention that even though it is a challenge for life, it can certainly be mitigated and refined if you work on it and heal it. We will circle back to this point later in this episode. So, we have arrived to the third sign of a challenging karma in your chart. But before I say anything about that, if you're enjoying this podcast and you want to keep learning more grounded, in-depth, applicable numerology, make sure to click the follow or subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell on the platform you're listening from. And make sure to become part of my numerology community. Also, make sure to check out the comment sections and leave a comment on an episode you liked. Share your thoughts and even ask questions. It's your opportunity to connect with me directly. And as those of you who wrote me know, I always attempt to answer as many comments as I possibly can. Having said that, let us keep going. So, our third sign of challenging karma. As you can see, I didn't even refer to karmic debt numbers so far, right? I will only talk about them towards the end of this episode. The next way to detect challenging karma in your chart is by spotting disharmonious number combinations in your 5 core numbers. Now, if you're not familiar with what number combinations are, definitely make sure to listen to my episodes about the topic. I have 2 episodes about it, and it's one of the most important fundamentals of numerology. I always say it's rarely spoken of in books, so definitely go ahead and check it out. And also, if you're not acquainted with the 5 core numbers, definitely go back and listen to the episode about the 5 core numbers. So any form of disharmony in your 5 core numbers is a signifier, an indicator of challenging karma that will accompany you for life. It will become most pronounced if the disharmony shows up between the life path, the expression, and the soul urge numbers. Regardless of what disharmonious number combination shows up, the very fact that it does show up is in itself an indicator of challenging karma at the foundation of your chart. Once you learn number combinations more in depth, something that I teach in my one-on-one certification studies, and to date, as of releasing this episode, soon will also be available through my upcoming self-study online course about the topic. You will be able to identify what exactly the karma is all about. But for now, just remember, if you see disharmonious numbers in one of those locations, between one of those locations, just remember you're witnessing, you're detecting challenging karma. As just a quick example to demonstrate this, if you have, for example, a 2-5 combo, by the way, I did a whole episode about 2-5, you might experience a challenging karma pertaining to addiction. This may be addiction to substances, to destructive relationships, or destructive emotional behaviors by and large. But the bottom line is you have spotted another challenging karma for life. Sign number 4 for spotting challenging karma. So another very important way of detecting challenging karma in your numerology chart is looking at your cycles and pinnacles and spotting any disharmony between them. In the same way that we looked for disharmonious number combinations in your 5 core numbers, it is important that we look for them in your cycles and pinnacles, as they represent the road you will be traversing. Your 5 core numbers represent you as a vehicle. Your cycle and pinnacle represent the road this vehicle will traverse. If any of your cycles and pinnacles are disharmonious, for example, a cycle 5 and a pinnacle 4, you will be experiencing a challenging karmic time. And since cycles and pinnacles are long-term periods, are long-term cycles, this will have a long-lasting impact on your life and can surely be considered as a major karmic challenge in your life. Now, in some occasions, a person will have more than one cycle and pinnacle that are in disharmony with one another. They will literally be moving from one disharmonious cycle pinnacle to the next disharmonious cycle pinnacle. And this reveals a deeper form of challenging karma that indicates a general overarching topic of a very challenging road one has to travel. Repeating conflicting cycles and pinnacles come to show a very bumpy road, many hardships and upheavals on the path. Or in other words, the challenging karma in such a case can be defined as being born into challenging settings. And the word settings is important, and I'm highlighting it because even if your core numbers are pretty harmonious, remember your core numbers are simply pointing to the vehicle that you are. The road you must travel in this case will be very trying, bumpy, and uneven. So now, after I presented 4 different ways of detecting challenging karma in your numerology chart, I will say something about the 5th sign, which is, well, none other than the karmic debts. Now, karmic debts are certainly not the sole indicator of karma in your chart, as I've already mentioned a few times. But they certainly make a significant dent in the respective number in question and have it behave in significantly imbalanced ways from the get-go. They tell you that with that particular number, whether it's a 13-4, a 14-5, a 16-7, or a 19-1, all the four karmic debts, with that particular number, you will have an uphill journey to go through. Karmic debts also have this unique behavior of inviting very blocking and annoying repetitive events into your life, both physically, emotionally, and circumstantially. Plus, they specifically, and this is perhaps where they stand out from all the rest of the signs I gave you before, they specifically have to do with past lives. Unfinished business from past lives you need to account for in this lifetime. Now, of course, one can argue that all karma has to do with past lives, but that's beyond the scope of this episode. Now, if you spot recurring karmic debts in your core numbers, right, this naturally amplifies the effects of the challenging karma, increases the imbalance, and the same would apply if these karmic debt numbers would appear in your cycles and pinnacles. Then they would lend their unique energy and behavior to the road you need to travel. My dear friends, I spoke a lot about challenging karma, and one can feel like a sack of problems after listening to this. But please do not get discouraged. I promised you I'll circle back to transforming and mitigating the karma. Challenging karma is meant to be transformed and can be transformed. And that's the most important thing to remember. And that's the great news. And in fact, that's the purpose of karma. Challenges are never a negative thing, even if they feel terrible. And I know it's hard to swallow. It's a truth that's hard to digest because life can be extremely trying and difficult. And yet, if we have in us that strength of heart and soul to just remember that, only remember or remind ourselves of that, that's a huge thing. In essence, right? In essence, challenges are life's way of making us stronger and more complete. They help us burn away what's untrue in us and realize that which is real, which is true and valuable in life. Eventually, the role of karma is to help you fulfill your soul's journey and attain enlightenment and complete liberation. In this light, it is in fact a blessing that we can spot our karmic patterns and work on them consciously and happily, knowing that even though it may be uncomfortable, we are growing in light, in truth, and in wisdom. That's why never be afraid to see your shadows. Look at them with honor, with openness, with an honest, transparent heart. Don't try to hide. It is in your advantage because when you see them, you can transform them, and their transformation is your rising into more light. So as we advance in our numerology practice, there are naturally more and more ways to spot karma and to understand it in ever more subtle and precise ways. And although it's a blessing to be able to do that Not everyone has to be a quote unquote doctor of numerology in order to know the fundamentals and make significant improvements to their life. So, start by exploring the main 5 points presented in this episode in your own numerology chart and in that of perhaps your closest friends or family members. Get a good grasp of your main challenging karma and start working on it with love, with patience and happiness, and a knowing and a trust that you will grow and transform. I promise you that you'll see amazing results. My dear friend, before we wrap this up, if you have enjoyed this podcast and you want to keep learning more grounded, applicable, high quality numerology, make sure to click the follow or subscribe button and turn on the notification bells on the platform you're listening from, and make sure to become part of my growing numerology community. Remember also to check out the comment section and leave a comment on an episode you liked, on a topic you liked, share your thoughts, ask me questions. I promise, as I said earlier, to answer as many questions as I possibly can, as many comments as I can. And also don't forget to check out my professional numerology readings to get to know yourself on a much deeper level. And if you're interested in mastering numerology, well, then check out my self-study numerology course and in-depth numerology certification studies. All the links are provided in the episode description. My dear friend, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, I'll see you in the next episodes. Take care. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, and you want to go deeper into numerology, check out my website, tom-eckert.com. You can also book a numerology reading or even study numerology yourself through my courses. I'll see you in the next episode.